Hey everybody, hope you're having an awesome day today. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about something that's very special to me, and that is a collaboration I did with a very prolific and world-renowned cellist. Her name is Tina Guo. You might have heard of her. She's got her own sample libraries and all that, and she's very, prolific. She's got her own YouTube channel with almost 500,000 subscribers, and she's performed on a ton of major movie scores. So she's been around, she's done a lot. And I was very lucky and very fortunate to have the opportunity to orchestrate an original composition of hers. And so today I wanted to go into the composition and talk about what I did and, what she sent me, how we worked it out, and, the final product. So if you haven't heard the final thing yet, actually, I put the link to the original song in the description below. It'll go to her channel. She has the piece there. It's called Homeward Bound. Hope you enjoy it, and then come back and we'll talk about exactly what we did here. So the original idea was that basically she had her original theme, okay? And that's basically this part here from basically bar 9 or so up until bar 29 or 30-ish. That's basically what she had, and my job was basically to take that and extend it to around 3 minutes and flesh it out into an orchestral cue. So what I did was I took that original theme and I mocked it up first with Cinematic Studio solo strings. So it was kind of like a quartet setup, and this is how Tina had it arranged in an Instagram video of hers. Actually, it's really, really beautiful. But I did that, and I put in a solo flute as well. And then afterwards, when she sent it back to me, she then put in her own live playing, and it sounds, fantastic. So I got the opportunity to mix that later. But I created a little intro, and I wanted to set the mood of kind of mysterious, almost sad in a way, almost wistful. So her original idea is in E minor. Let me just play a little bit of it so you can see what I mean, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. And then it just opens up into the big orchestral thing. But that's the main idea. Very gorgeous. And it basically takes you on a journey from beginning to end within a span of like 1 minute, which is awesome. And so, you heard in the second half of that, I basically layered in Cinematic Studio strings to give it a little bit of body and a little bit of warmth to just kind of push it forward a little bit. In the first half, we heard the main theme beautifully. So in the second half, I wanted to take it up a step. I wanted to make it a little more lush, a little more romantic, and just layer in some Cinematic Studio strings for that to help support. I also put in an oboe line there for a counter melody while her main melody was playing. And of course, we have some cymbals here, right? But let me play the intro. So what her main melody was, her main theme here, that inspired me to do this intro. And so let me just quickly play it for you. This features the oboe, I think. So let's just have a quick listen. So first of all, that little chime sound is from a bell tree from Berlin Percussion from Orchestral Tools. So a really authentic sound there. Then I had some pizzicatos in, I think it was the cello or the basses. Yeah, it's the cello here from Cinematic Studio Strings. Their shorts are very, very nice. Slightly damp, not as lively as maybe Berlin strings, but it still has a very full and lush sound, so I wanted to use that there. Then I had some high string sustains in Metropolis Arc 2. Their quiet strings are exceptional. Use those, and then a little harp to give a little bit of rhythmic interest in there as well. And the oboe is from Berlin Woodwinds Expansion B, which is the soloist library. So that's pretty much it. And then I wanted to let her stuff come out. So I did a little bit of automation and balancing with her stems that she sent me. You can see here we did some automation there. And then at the very end, when the orchestral stuff swells in, that's when my part kind of takes over. And then she layered in her own parts, some parts doubling the melody that I produced, and other parts just as counter melodies. So she basically took this extra step to liven it up a little bit, add some realism to it, and just put her signature Tina sound onto this composition, of course, that she wrote. So let's hear the end of this, and let's just go into this big section. So timpani. Now the Cinematic Studio strings in full force. So you can hear her part doubling this. Now she's doubling it down an octave. Now, so, up until this point, we're in E minor, but now we hear an F major chord, which is actually the flat 2 of E minor. So E major, then F minor, or F major, and then B flat minor to C7 or C major into F major. So a little bit of transposition there. I felt I wanted to do that because I felt that we were in E minor for a long time, and then to take a journey, to the next step, I wanted to move it up a semitone, lift it up, and change the tone completely so it actually feels more heroic and more adventurous. So that was kind of a decision there. And you can see here we have the female choirs that came in and the male choirs as well to give it that little bit of human element. Bass drums, of course, and then let's see, in this big theme we have horns as well. So let's hear this. This is the Cinesamples 2 horns patch. I'm using the poly legato there, so it provides a little bit of a bed. Without it, it sounds a little bit bare, because, let's see. Now with. You hear how it just fills in that mid-range a little bit. It's really lovely. And then here, after we do the modulation, here she's doing the main melody with her live playing, and then I've also got, let me just take a look, what else is doing that main theme? The 4 horns from Cinematic Studio Brass is doing that as well. Very, very cinematic. It's a lovely sound. And then this harp glissando is beautiful, and that is from Cineharps, and I just played one of the notes, the F major, or the F note on the keyboard, and then it activated an ascending F major trill. And I like to do this usually when I'm going into a new section. It just glues everything together so beautifully, especially for these fantasy adventure type tracks. So Tubular Bells is kind of like a guilty pleasure of mine. And once I saw Mike Patty do it in his Cine Symphony Light screencast video, his live composition, I fell in love with that sound, so I really enjoy using it. It's always hard not to overuse something, but if you can use it sparingly, then it could be very effective. What else? So we have cymbals for the occasional downbeat hit that's so important. And then at the end of this first iteration of the theme, after the modulation, I wanted to layer in the oboe to bring in a familiar sound. So Tina's live playing leading the way. But at the same time, we've got the 90s retro trumpets leading the way in a different melody as a counter melody on top. So this one sounds like this. So this idea was actually taken from earlier in the piece, from her original idea, but it's been played around with a little bit. It's been stretched out, so you could hear both of these melodies playing at the same time, inspired by her original melody. So one melody is going do 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 do, but the other one's going do 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 do. So you hear them interweaving and playing with each other, and I think that's lovely. And you get oops, okay, and you get these two ideas weaving in and out basically, which is really, really nice. And so after that, let's see. I mean, layering strings and brass is something I love to do, and it's a typical thing to do in action or adventure music. Strings and brass are kind of the main powerful sections, right? So layering those in for your melodies is super effective. And I love to do solo woodwinds because they're so exposed and they're just so beautiful. They have such a human quality to them. So in this section, I was layering in the strings and the brass, and then I had the Tina's live playing there to support. So. So it's kind of a sad quality at the same time. And the solo horn here. And when we have a really long sustained note at the end, I kind of like to play around with that. I don't want to keep it too sustained the whole way, or else it can start to make the listener lose a little bit of interest. So maybe I'll have the strings holding a long note, but then I'll have, maybe the violins or something go up an octave, or maybe up a fifth to echo a different line. Just something to make it a slightly different at the end, so you're not holding the same thing for 10 seconds in a row. But let's see what else. Percussion wise, it's quite simple. We have timpani rolls into hits, bass drum accenting the big moments, like right there. Cymbals can tend to get pretty loud, especially out of the box for Cineperc, so you have to massage it a little bit, turn down the volume, and so it works out really well once you get a hang of the overall volume differences between different libraries. The Glock here, I just wanted to do a touch at the beginning and a little bit at the end for that sparkle, so you can hear that ding. That's the Glock there. And at the very end, so instead of doing an E at the beginning, now we're in F major, so I do a high F Glock hit, and that is that. But honestly, having Tina's live playing in here makes all the difference, and it makes it sound so cinematic. It's so beautiful. In terms of mixing, though, not much processing is going on here. I really just put the gain up a little bit on each of her tracks, put a little bit of EQ to take out any unnecessary frequencies, and then I bust everything to a reverb, which is East West Spaces 2, and I'm using the San Francisco Hall there, which sounds really lovely. I think I sent a couple other instruments there as well, because they were slightly on the dry side. But other than that, I did a little bit of panning. Oboe, I moved it a bit to the right. The Glock a little bit to the left. The female choir a bit to the right. So little panning decisions that help it spread out in the stereo field just a little bit more. But in general, it was a relatively straightforward arrangement. I really enjoyed working on this. And I just have to thank Tina for putting her trust in me and just giving me this opportunity, because her music is beautiful and she's a wonderful person to work with. So yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know what you think and what you think of her idea. I think it's gorgeous. I've already said that, but there we go. So that is the arrangement for Tina Guo. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. So have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.